Okay, hello, how are you doing? Such an amazing array. I'm very moved, and thank you, Ghazal, for inviting me. It's really great to be here and to be reading with such company. I'm going to read just a couple pieces from the book Arrangements, which is the most recent book. It's a collaboration, meaning that we wrote poems back and forth for a couple years. And these two are from the second year, where we stick poems. June 2021, after Li Wenquo's Oracle, version 2. Dark thoughts hear the heartbeat, seed sound of language. No breezy answers. The task of letting oneself be multi-dimensional. Sing in the key of sparrow, the logic of the age, of age. Heed the pull up and down, the gaping mouth where we're invited to supper, that bears in itself the everyday. In the jet black gap, our own dark place, the large hole so feared, it too is of the earth. Ask the oracle where we come from. And the gaping hole at the end, what of that? Where does the gap come from? The hole there. Dear life, ask the oracle to deliver, to answer. There are treasures left blank too damn long. Make it an enemy, the end, instead of following the dialogic flow. Stand before the dark, open-mouthed, surrounded by cheap peach comfort, a hot day in New York, and an inexhaustible encounter with the end. This is October 2021, and it's called When Sea Levels Rise, after Maggie Hambling's The Corn Hall. Here, there is disaster and possibility. Saw it in a dream once, the uprising, tidal wave, tsunami. Saltwater waves, its evidence. I was being pulled in. Each day, each is different, each millisecond. The moment the ocean breaks, the moment of arrival. Waves whooshing back and forth, crash, groundswell, displacement. Death will come. The sea will come. Sea levels rising, meaning sea levels rising. Combined to conceive such mountains, valleys, crests. In the last 100 years, the sea level has risen by 6 to 8 inches. What if I identify with the land that is being eroded? Moods, the passing of time, brings what type of tidings? Paintbrush moves in the paint, represents a crash, a swell. Layering, load and lightness in a curve without thoughts, constant movement of emotion, it will overwhelm. Ease one in, swimming, and at the same moment, the rider being pulled under the waves by rocks. As cormorants, seagulls, and tern fly over the shore, a city's harbor and her own departure seeking refuge. Where are the sounds when looking at a painting? I hear waves, moments of excitement of being brought to the deep end. That rapacious look, as Moore described it, different degrees of tumultuousness. One adds sound because one imagines it. a memory of being caught in it, gripped by the force of it. Sea crashes onto sand. Who's to say she came out of it alive, intact? If the South Pole melts, ice melts, the sea will rise by 200 feet. Saw it in a dream once, or was that childhood, another country? The way waves break at the shore, the way a brushstroke moves a goddess out of the foam, the curves of her body, tails twisting. Narratives lost at sea, in the colors, her mother a girl refugee. No end to it, just rise and fall, the expanse of it. After departure, family on a ship traverses the great mystery that is the ocean. When is it time for the end, for the blues to come? This is it. Two poems, and one of them I wanted to read for Ghazal, which is a line, the one that she has in the Pamenar website. And it's called Inscribed. James Davies, this is a walking poem. After Richard Long's A Line Made by Walking. 1. Step, stretch, stroll, restore the back and forth, make a statement, cut a line in dirt, carve it. A simple constitutional. The carriage of our pen, hip, thighs, calves, knees, ankle maneuverability, the back and forth need to remind, need to record, recall how to make a mark, back and forth philosophers, walking artists, measure, trace sounds, taste juice, spread the spacious stride and measure place, in between then place, a foot, who told you to? 2. Did you realize you were making a mark when you walked? All about rhythm, strange and solitary, a statement about lightness and mass, a statement, about changing the path before you. At age 2, schlepping behind adults until you sat on the pavement, refusing to go further, becoming conscious of this lack of collaboration. A woman's journey back and forth on the page, a need to belong to the invisible world, to be inside astride. Twisted by resistance, you remember your act of rebellion? Who knew? And now how to leave a room of phantoms, take a step forward and make a mark. So much depends upon your gender, how you walk, and of course, the weather. 3. Going for a walk according to the Apple Online Dictionary. The 2 men walked along the road, deep in conversation. He walked the 5 miles into town. She thanked him for walking her home. 4. Walking as if depends on the shoes you wear, the style of raw materials. Is it a stranger or a shadow? Who walks in your line? Do you record your journey, the paths of shared footmarks? Sartre would call it bad faith, the photograph. No? But we want to record the fragility of existence, stones, twigs set around in a circle, about rhythm, dimension, time, locality, beauty and lightness, mass, marking steps, gauging them. What was changed by walking, ambling, a promenade? Record our mark and become conscious of looking at the reality of landscape, Something new in the same book, same walk, our own facts, fictions in our solitariness. Maybe one, maybe two more poems. One is called Global Economy. I am dependent on an unacceptable invasion, the kind of inflation that isn't about the soil lining Riverside Park, but the limits of family whose branches are entangled. You break ours. You need room, and the view gives it gratefully. Everything's a dark moment, urgent by the river, plastic falls into. Urgent talk under microscope. Drove that car into a wall, had to prove you made the right choice. Crash into, in the crowd, crushed. Police the family. The formal crash doesn't matter. Time to stay indoors, to watch honey locusts bend, to travel between space, desire, everything at stake. Lost momentum. What makes you think you're better? 14 daisies on the side of the road. Drop these worries. Time-littered town, stone inside. What makes you better than the rest of us? How are we terrifying? The urgent means to be the moving branch of you. I fell in love with a linden tree. Look at trees. I want to be the branch. Is that a good solemn place? 14 daisies on the side and no one in control of the road. I wanted to pick them, assault them, alive, daisies in the family. What does that mean? Light, bustle in a house, or enhanced lead pipe sensibility? Individualism tore us apart, overnight assault. And I'll read one more, but the end is here. I was asked to write a poem for an anthology from Creature Conserve, which is still looking for a publisher. And I did that. And then I wrote another poem, which was a response to having to write this poem because it was on the caribou. And I was like, what do I know about caribous? But I did that. And this one is the response to that one. And it's called Consider the Climate. I've had enough of new names, new ways of trying to stop time. It just creates more sleet in the steep curve of my pale existence, of ways to prod and avoid the emotions that rock the course of my continuance, which is entirely filled with paper birch trees. During the short window available, my entity responds to anything with the word paper, gets me mapping the just was page. I wanted to have deeper words about the caribou, new designations that would help me see. But writing is always a walk in the dark, dependent on the will of my body, including that variable, the brain. If I had soft velvet horns and warming fur, I might be okay with my scattered disposition. Instead, I take umbrage with the time allotted. The image of the glam reindeer in the cartoon I saw as a child, and my fear of extinction in the future. What I learned then as we shifted from one school to another was the motto, adapt or die. Isn't that true of us all? especially for those stuck in migration patterns. I thought it would change once I became an adult, could control my own movements. I took stock of the temperature, tried to be kind. The voyage can be one in lower realms, but that's one of choice. I want to excuse myself all the time and make adjustments, change. I got stuck in the branches of the forest and had no herd to guide me. I got here, for now, to a desk and typing. The entity with my name never imagined months in the silence of a temporary haven. Most of the time, I look back at what can be called so that I can mine it on paper or communicate with you. From the first, I wanted to please and repair the scar, wanted her to see me, but the chaos around the musical was just full of wild animals and shadows. My body will evolve to cope or just end up in trampled grass. Remind me of where I want to go. Oh yes, those northern landscapes where we won't be dying of thirst. Thank you.